Now then, welcome back, Saddos, to another episode of the Sitcom Archive Deep Dive Overdrive with me, ex-Benedict, and Alison Barton-Simmons.
Hello.
Hello, Alison, you alright?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. Are you?
I'm okay. Have you had any good sleeps this week?
I've had a lot of good sleeps this week, thank you.
Who was that comedian who said, at the Edinburgh Fringe, I think he won the award one year for the best joke? It was something like, sleep's my favourite thing in the world. It's the only reason I get up in the morning.
Was it Tim Vine?
It sounds like one of his, but I don't think it was him. Anyway, so we are doing The Good Life for our first series. Every week we go through the next episode in sequence of The Good Life and we pull it apart and have a look at it, decide who the most valuable player in each episode is, we have a look at the fashion, and we just chat shit randomly.
We do. There's all sorts of stuff to talk about, isn't there? I'm still blown away that we are so far into The Good Life, and there's still just so much to talk about.
There's loads, isn't there? Yeah. I was looking at some of the articles that I'd researched and I just thought we haven't talked about this or that, or so there's still tons. So you can listen along and watch along with us. All the episodes of The Good Life are available to stream for free on Dailymotion. We tweet out and Facebook link out each week so you can watch the show before you listen to us, or you know, if you're a subscriber to BritBox or you've got the DVDs, whatever floats your boat, you can watch the show then listen to us. So that's the admin. Now, last week, Al, you had some homework, but I can't remember what it was.
It was... Oh, hang on. What was it?
Don't know. I can't remember either, but I do remember we talked about pampas grass being...
It was it the pampas grass?
I think there was two things that we weren't sure about, but pampas grass definitely, we discovered, is the sign, or was the sign in the 70s and 80s of swinging, of a household of swingers. Yeah,
I'd heard this. I think it was a friend that had mentioned it, and we were joking about the fact that pampas grass in a front garden, and it's the big, long. They look like ears of corn, like ears of wheat, and
I remember.
They're in like a big bunch, and you see them in the front gardens of sort of Barrett houses, 1970s, 1980s, red brick built houses. They're often sort of swaying away in the wind at the front of the house, and they were supposed to be
away, in fact,
swinging away at the front of the house, as an indication that there were swingers inside the property.
How did that work? Did people then just go and knock on the door and go, aye, nudge, nudge?
I don't know. Was there just like a lot of winking on the doorstep? I don't know. Not being part of the swinging community, I'm not really sure.
I can't imagine that you would just. I mean, certainly, I suppose if there was an organised swing night and you said, "Here's the estate, look for the pampas grass," that would make sense. But I can't see that. Yeah, but
what if there's like loads of houses on the estate with pampas grass? You just do knock a door run until you get let in.
Yeah, maybe. Stand up dogging in the bushes or something.
Oh God, a dogging cul-de-sac.
It sounds like a nightmare estate. But yeah, so I was surprised to learn pampas grass is real, and the sales of the stuff plummeted when this happened because people were like, "Shit, I'm not having that in my garden."
Just rip it up.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's still a sign. If you're a swinger, get in touch. Let us know.
Let us know. Yeah.
No judgment here.
I do see how because I walk quite a bit, and when I see pampas grass in front gardens, it does make me.
Oh, so you do still see it out and about?
Still see it. They'll still see it. Usually on Barrett estates that were built during the 70s and 80s. There are other house builders available, but you see them still knocking about, and I wonder, do they not know? Or are they swingers?
I'll give you 20 quid if you just randomly knock on a few doors and wink
and ask.
And then it's research for the podcast. If they say, "What are you doing, you mad bastard?" you say,
"Yeah,
it's just an experiment. Don't mind me. Go about your day."
And disappear. Right.
But if you end up getting bummed, I'm not to blame.
It's all down to me, isn't it?
Yeah.
I might, if I see some in someone's garden and I know them, I might bring up the subject with them rather than knocking on random strangers' doors.
Isn't that worse? Because then they might think you're dropping hints about what you and Johnny want to do.
They might think it's an invitation. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to get involved in that. That's a hot potato, isn't it?
We have to rely on a listener being a swinger and letting us know.
Get in touch, please. Save me from myself. So before we get stuck into this week's episode, which is a tug of the forelock, by the way, Series 3, Episode 3, I've got a bit of a game for you, Ben. Would you like to join in?
Oh, what do you think?
It is. It's a version of 80s game show Blankety Blank.
Good life blankety blank, blankety blank. Good life blankety blank, blankety blank. Good life blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank. Blankety blank. Blankety blank.
So I don't know if you or listeners remember the sort of premise of how Blankety Blank works, but I'll just give you a quick run through.
Okay.
So so that you're aware. So I give you quotes from the first 2 and a bit series that we've watched on The Good Life.
Yeah.
And the quotes, I take words out and I use the word blank, and you've got to try and replace the words. And for extra points, you've got to tell me who said it.
Yes, okay, fair enough.
Is that all right?
I think this Blankety Blank, it had constant reboots in the UK, so everyone should be familiar with it. And even in America, I believe that they had a version of Blankety Blank. They renamed it, probably knowing them Gappity Gap or some shit like that. But they should know what it is as well, so let's just go for it.
Okie dokie. Right, here's number 1. Are you ready?
I am.
So, the quote, I'm going to have to do all these in a very sort of straight voice. So
you're not going to do Les Dawson.
Give it away. Yeah, right, ready?
My mother-in-law.
But you are very dear friends, and by now I have risen like a phoenix from the blank of your blank.
Ooh. I know Margot said it.
Oh, Margot did say it, 1 point for you.
A couple of episodes ago. And it was...
It is quite a recent one, yeah.
It was... Because then Tom went on to shock her by talking about the pig getting impregnated. But the actual words... I have risen above the vulgarity.
There's no vulgarity in there, I'm afraid.
And what was the next bit? Vulgarity of your...
Nope. But you are very dear friends, and by now I have risen like a phoenix from the blank of your blank.
From the flames of your disgustingness. I don't know, I can't remember.
Kind of. Do you know what? Yeah, you're on the right lines there. I'm not going to give it you.
Okay.
But it was like a phoenix from the fires of your eccentricities.
Oh, of course it was. Yeah.
But you were on the right lines. I'll give you 1 point.
No, I don't want your charity. No, shove it up your ass.
I'm going to give it you. It's the... Nope, you've got 2 points because you said Margot,
I did say Margot.
You've got the gist of it.
Okay.
I'll let you have... There was 2 blanks, and I'll let you have 1 point because you were on the right lines.
Thank you.
This next one, number 2. Brick by brick, she is blank, a blank.
Ooh, now that's a tough one, isn't it?
Brick by brick, she is blank, a blank.
Sure. Is it Margot again?
It is not Margot.
Damn it. Tell me who it is and that might help me get it.
It was Jerry.
So he's talking about Margot. Brick by brick, she is... No idea.
Oh,
sorry.
Brick by brick, she's building a madhouse.
Of course. I can't remember the episode.
It's quite a recent one. It was the one where... Oh, do you know what? I can't think off the top of my head which one it was, I'm afraid.
I think in Blankety Blank, the Z-list celebrities that they had on...
Yes.
They'd write down something ridiculous, wouldn't they? So I think if I can't come up with something, I just need to think of something ridiculous.
You need to give me something really bad.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you wishing for an Amsterdam quiz now?
Yeah. I'd love an Amsterdam quiz right about now.
Right, okay. So this is it's a 2-tiered one, this. We've got 2 people speaking, but there's only blanks in one person's response. Okay, so, hello girls, had a good gossip. No, we've been playing blank blank with the blank.
I know this. Oh.
Hello girls, had a good gossip. No, we've been playing blank blank with the blank.
Oh, I know that it's Barbara, isn't it, who's responding?
It is. 1 point.
But I can't. It's not where they were playing cards, was it? No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
We've been playing Spin the Bottle with the bottle. With the electric toothbrush / vibrator.
Nope. We've been playing strip poker with the
pigs. The cats.
Postman.
The chicken.
No.
With the pigs. No, that doesn't work, does it? Oh,
it's not the pigs, I'm afraid. You did get 1 point, though, for knowing it was Barbara.
So what am I on? 2 points out of a possible 6?
3 so far out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 points out of 7, 8, sorry.
It's not awful. Is that it, or is another one?
I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Oh, I've got 5, actually. I thought I had 4, but I've got 2 more. Right. Okay. You should be doing what you are doing, and that makes you a blank blank.
You should be doing what you are doing.
And that makes you a blank blank. I'll give you a clue, it was when they were in the frenzy of mending, of having to mend things, and that being the thing that they needed to do when the nights were drawing in.
You should be doing what you are doing, and that makes you a... I'm going to take a guess at who it is.
Go on.
I'm going to take a guess that Barbara says this to Tom. Is it the other way around?
Tom says this to Barbara.
Damn it. And that makes you a useful person?
Clever dick.
Oh, I was on the right lines.
You were. And our final question, are you ready?
Yep. Hit me.
You haven't been gardening in a dinner jacket. Certainly, you've heard of the blank blank, haven't you?
Oh. Tom says it.
Yes.
Tom says it, but certainly you've heard of the gentleman... Oh, fuck me.
Yeah?
The gentleman farmer.
Yay!
Yay! Oh, I can't begin to explain how relieved I am to have got one right.
3 points. So you've got, out of a possible 15, you've got 6.
That's not awful, is it?
That's all right. And they were quite hard. I think because they're in my head as things that I remember, the expectation is that you remember them as well, and that's not the way things work.
No,
that's not
different
the way
things
that
stick in your head, don't they?
Heads work, yeah.
I enjoyed it, though. I think we should do that again. Cool. All right. Well, should we have a look at episode 3 of Series 3, A Tug of the Forelock?
Let's do that.
Good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life.
So we open outside in this one with that weird grainy 25mm film that jars so much with the internal studio stuff, don't we? When
yes,
it always just looks like this isn't the good life, it's something else, and then you realise it's just because of that juxtaposition. But we got the good sort of trying to bring in some wood on their knackered pram.
On the knackered pram with the pram wheels, yeah.
Yeah, and they're not getting on. Things seem a bit tense because Barbara gets a dig in about her lack of horse.
Yeah, Brian the horse mentioned again.
Yeah, and it just seems like things aren't perfect at Chez Toi.
Chez Toi.
So yeah, and then of course they spot over the fence, don't they, that Jerry is mowing his own lawn.
It looks kind of weird, doesn't it? Seeing him sort of getting on with manual labour.
Well, he's got wellies on, and he's only mowing the lawn. I mean, it seems a bit OTT, doesn't it, to put your wellies on?
I know, but they are the kind of couple that have like a uniform for anything that involves beyond sitting on the couch and drinking gin or going to the office.
I suppose so.
They seem to have to put on specific clothing for specific jobs.
I was surprised, though, how shit his lawnmower looked. I mean, obviously it was the 70s, but it looked so basic. You would have thought that the Leadbetters would have a primo lawnmower, a top of the range.
But usually it's Mr. Pearson that does it, so maybe they just don't give a shit because it's him that's got to
break his back,
deal with it. Yeah, and Mr. Pearson, I can imagine, looks after and oils it and cleans it. So they're not going to be bothered.
Maybe not. I was just thinking, having said that lawnmowers back in the day were probably a bit crap, have you ever seen that clip of Dennis Thatcher mowing the lawn at, presumably, Downing Street, if they have a lawn at Downing Street?
No.
I mean, I'm not a fan of the Thatchers, as you know.
Yeah.
But if you'd say one thing about Dennis Thatcher is that motherfucker can handle a lawnmower.
Really? Did he put his back into it?
Oh, well, you see the clip. He's got this, like, crazy, huge industrial lawnmower, and he's pushing it by hand. It's electric, or petrol, probably.
Right.
And the turning circle, how he does it is amazing. Honestly, I'll tweet out this video of Dennis Thatcher mowing a lawn, and you'll be like, that is impressive. That's the most impressive thing a Thatcher's ever done.
What did you type in to discover this?
Yeah, it's my niche porn, isn't it? No, I think it was just somebody shared it on Twitter or something.
I'd like to see this.
I'll find it and I'll retweet it out.
But I would like to see it, yeah.
Anyway, so the goods teased Jerry extensively over the fence before sort of heading back inside. And when they're back inside, Margot bursts in, doesn't she, with a vacuum cleaner-related crisis.
Yeah, and it is a crisis.
It is, yeah. But the crisis is, Al?
It's that the vacuum cleaner has filled up so much that it's whistling, and both Tom and Margot are unaware that means just take the bag out and empty it. Dead easy.
Which Barbara says several times.
Yeah, whereas Tom's busy sort of getting tools out in his head to fix it, and I'll do this and I'll do that, and then we'll do this. And yeah, countless times Barbara just says, it means that it's full, just empty it in the bin, which she just does in the end. She just gets on with it.
She's like that Arabella Weir character in a Fast Show, isn't she? Can anyone actually hear me?
Yeah.
I tell you what would be a good idea. Let's change the bag.
And they just carried on talking over her.
Yeah, poor Barbara.
Barbara often knows best, though. She's just very sort of keeps it simple.
Yes, I think, though, what comes to light is that the reason Jerry and Margot are behaving so domestically for a change is that they're hired help who, up to this point, we've never seen. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I don't think so.
But they have, I mean, it's no surprise that they have hired help, but a couple called the Pearsons who have gone off on holiday to Canada for a whole month. Yeah,
to see family, to see grandchildren.
I thought to myself, the Leadbetters must be paying quite well if they can afford to take a month off to go to Canada. But, yeah, so they've effectively got live-in help. Well, not live-in, but they've got regular man and woman to do everything.
Yeah, it sounds like a daily thing, isn't it? That Mrs. Pearson cleans and Mr. Pearson looks after the garden.
It probably is a daily thing, because in the previous episode, Margot had mentioned making a sacrifice and going down to 2 days a week for the cleaner.
Yeah.
So she probably does have her in every day in the week. And obviously, the obvious solution to that would be to get some temporary help in. But Margot replies that people are spending too much time listening to that Clive Jenkins person, who was the General Secretary of the British White Collar Union.
Right.
He was a Labour union leader, effectively. So that's the first dig at the union leaders out of the way.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the goods are a bit perplexed, like, what's the problem? They've only gone away. Why can't you just crack on, and then...
Yeah, it's only a month.
Yeah. And then, of course, Margot says, well, the problem is they're beginning to look like yours, and waves her hands about.
Yes! And then describes herself as not one of nature's little housewives.
Yeah. It's a good job Barbara's thick-skinned, isn't it, really?
Yeah. It seems to be like water off a duck's back with Barbara. She just sort of takes it in jest.
Yeah. She knows what Margot's like.
Doesn't really rise to it.
No.
Good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life.
So then we see, after Margot sort of clears off, we see that Barbara is planning to get down the pond to look for some dumped pram wheels.
Some more pram wheels, yeah.
That doesn't exactly paint Surbiton as a middle-class sort of nexus, does it?
No.
If there's, like, dumped pram wheels in the pond. But there you go. Tom has the idea instead to essentially strap the rotary cultivator to a man-made cart.
Yes.
In order to create his own car.
Genius.
Yeah, it's quite innovative.
It is.
Ambitious, you have to say, but yeah, innovative.
I like it though. He's obviously got like a tinkering mind of a an engineer, like a draftsman engineer. He's always able to come up with an answer to problems, the problems that need solving in terms of like how can we fix this. He seems to be the one that he's on hand.
He's a problem
to do
solver,
that.
and as you said in the previous episode, that these sort of men in the 70s, they seem to be more able, as a generalisation at least, to apply themselves to practical problems and come up with practical solutions, and that's what Tom's trying to do here to their transport issues, because obviously there's no Brian the horse, and the existing cart is a piece of shit.
Yes.
The only problem is they only have £1.28 in the bank, because, as usual, they're literally destitute. I was just going to say, imagine having £1.28 in the bank. I mean, it'd be terrifying, wouldn't it?
It would be terrifying. They don't seem that bothered. They seem quite chilled about it. However, that all the bits and pieces that they have, that they've created or that they own as part of their lifestyle has already been earmarked for swaps. So like the piglets are ready for going off and they'll get something in return. But Barbara's considering selling her body. It's quite extreme for some petrol.
Yes. Although I thought maybe he'd misunderstood and she was alluding to something else, but maybe not.
But Tom says that he's already earmarked that for a later time anyway.
Yeah. I didn't really follow that. I thought maybe there was like a double meaning there.
Okay.
I didn't pick up on it. But regardless, the obvious solution eventually presents itself to the goods. The Leadbetters don't like doing their own domestics. The goods need money. So they pop round to propose the solution to the Leadbetters. But unfortunately, Margot and Jerry are going at it hammer and tongs, arguing in the kitchen due to the stress levels of their housework. They're at each other's throats, aren't they? It's
brilliant. This scene with Margot, she's so high-pitched and dramatic. It really tickled me, this. And it got worse and worse the more that Jerry tried to come in the house.
Yeah.
It really did make me laugh.
She tells him not to bleed in the sink because she's just cleaned it. Not to put anything in the bin because she's just emptied it.
Yeah, emptied it. And that sex is off the table because of all the housework she's got to do.
Yeah. But eventually she becomes so hysterical she starts smashing plates on the floor dramatically.
Yeah.
Which is, definitely... She's got a flair for the dramatic. It's a little bit over the top.
She has. She's wonderful.
But of course, the goods present their solution, and in fairness, Margot has the foresight to realise straight away the problems that would occur having the goods as help, because she knows...
Yes.
She knows herself well enough to know what she'll be like, and how it might potentially damage their friendship, which is very strong.
Yes. She doesn't want the flippancy from the domestics. She thinks that's intolerable. She can take cheek from a neighbour best friends, but not from the help.
Yeah, she likes everything in its place, pigeonholed, doesn't she? So they're friends. Yes. There shouldn't be a blurring of the boundaries by having them. And she says this right from the outset. So I credit where it's due to Margot. She knows herself, doesn't she?
Yeah. She can foresee what's going to happen, and she sort of sets the stall out straight away about it.
But they're adamant, and Jerry wants to go ahead.
Yes.
So weirdly, she agrees, and then weirdly she says, "Right, well, Tom and Barbara, if you make the bed, I'm going for a lie down." And I thought, aren't those two things mutually exclusive?
Yeah. To do it rounder.
Yeah. You're breathing too loudly, Tom. I'm trying to sleep.
So as Jerry leaves the kitchen and Tom's cleaning on the floor, Jerry calls Tom a saucy little minx, like he's some little Victorian maid that he can just be a bit handsy with. It creeped me a little bit.
It was a bit #different times, wasn't it?
Poor Mrs. Pearson is what I've got to say to that.
Yeah, imagine what she goes through. Margot will have vetted her and picked a really unattractive
Possibly,
woman.
Yeah.
Well, at least, attraction is in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? And she'd have definitely picked someone that Jerry wouldn't have gone for.
Yes. Yeah.
But then we cut to the next brilliant scene, which I really love, which is when Barbara pops in to see Tom, having clearly been working for Margot, and just destroys a box in frustration at Margot, who she describes as a pathological supervisor.
That's a good term, I think, to describe Margot in that state.
But Felicity Kendall does that brilliantly, doesn't she, when she just takes out all the frustration on the box.
Yeah.
Thought that was excellent. But of course, Tom, he's making progress in his homemade car, and he seems pretty laid back about working for the Leadbetters.
Yeah, that seems to annoy Barbara, though, a little bit. She says that you're in one of your life is a cabaret moods.
Yeah.
Because he's so sort of all right with everything.
Unbearable life is a cabaret mood, and that is exactly what he is when he's like that, unbearable. So, but of course, that doesn't last because Margot pops in and chides him for not having started grafting on time. And what does he say?
It tips Tom over the edge, and he says, "Who does she think she is? I'll smash her face in."
It really made me laugh that it was so over the top.
I was really shocked.
I'll smash her face. It's a bit gratuitous, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? It is.
I mean, clearly, he meant it figuratively, but it still made me laugh that that was his response. Yeah. It was more something you'd expect Jerry to say down at Chelsea, isn't it?
You wouldn't get away with putting that in a TV show.
No.
Anymore, would you? You just wouldn't.
It did make me laugh, though.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it, I must admit. I thought it was funny because he clearly had no intention of it.
For your information, Tom, it is 2:37. Mr. Pearson always started work at 2:15 on Fridays, and I expect you to do the same. Now come along.
Who the hell does she think she is? I'll smash her face in.
And then next we see Margot sort of faffing and fussing with cushions and ornaments in her front room, and then Jerry arrives.
Yes.
And Margot launches into a diatribe against the Goods for embarrassing her in front of the Surbiton Ladies Conservative Association.
What a collection! I bet that was a really lovely afternoon.
Well, it sounds to me like the Goods were having a whale of a time, and that's exactly what I'd be like. You know, apparently they turned Mrs. Hornsby's lecture on the curse of socialism into a total farce because Barbara made silhouettes on the projector whilst Tom was leering at Mrs. Hornsby through the window and making gestures towards the shrubbery.
Yes.
What do we imagine those gestures would have been?
I don't know, but if there's pampas grass involved, I can only imagine.
Yeah. And the Tory Ladies Society would not have been on board with this frivolity and silliness.
No, absolutely not. But giving Margot her due, though, she sort of foresaw that this could be a problem. Because obviously, if you've got the women's conservative group meeting in Margot's front room and Barbara and Tom helping out, I think she sort of foresaw that there could be a clash here.
Yeah, she called it straight away, didn't she? But they were adamant they wanted to do it.
I think so.
You know, they are largely to blame for this situation. They should have known better. If they, you know, it's like, I suppose it's like any, no, not like any job, but plenty of people, certainly 40 and above, will have worked a job that they hated. And know,
well, you've got to just toe the line a little bit.
Yeah, you hate the people you work for. The people are arseholes, and you just know what you've got to be. And Margot's not an arsehole, but they know what she's like in certain scenarios. Yeah. So if they're willing to work for her, they have to be willing to put up with that, is my take on it.
Just for a month, because it's just for a month that they've got to do the work. So just for a month, if you want the money enough to carry on doing what you're doing, I don't know. Do you? It's that balance, isn't it? Of do you just sort of stick a pin in your ideals?
But it's not so much their ideals, it's just their silliness. They can't stop being silly.
Yeah.
I mean, because then, and that's what I love about them as a couple, to be honest, because then they come in, don't they, and they're still being very silly. The two of them, there's a very funny scene of the two of them messing about, because Barbara says, we haven't had any wages for ages.
For ages.
And just like a cute little laugh, and he's cracking up and makes a quite funny remark about the carpet.
Now, see here, you snivelling menials. You better back your ideas up. I'll take a crop to the pair of you.
Oh, sorry, sir. Beg pardon, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. Forgive us, sir, for coming up to the big house without going through the sheep dip first, sir.
Stand in the corner. Don't speak or anything. I'll set the dogs on you. What do you want?
Well, sir, we wonder, sir, if you could see your way clear, sir, to giving us a bit of wages.
You see, sir, because we haven't had any wages for ages.
Well, we wouldn't ask, sir, and we've had to sell 8 of the children already.
Oh, really?
Oh, I beg pardon, marm. I didn't see you there. Curtsy, girl, curtsy.
Oh, I'm ever so sorry, Mom, for standing on the carpet.
Don't you think it's wearing rather thin?
No, it's a lovely bit of carpet, that.
And then, of course, Margot goes up like a chippy.
She does. Big time.
calls them a pack of hyenas. And then I think the next scene is presumably much later, or it might even be the following day, I'm not really sure. But in Margot's kitchen, the goods are sort of attempting to apologise. But Tom, again, he just can't help making one of his jokes.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to get much better very quickly, does it? Margot she's so cross. The way that she's tossing that salad, it'll just be like green sludge by the end of it, I'm sure. She's very annoyed.
But Margot has another one of her random soapbox moments here, where she sort of labels everyone not taking things seriously as the reason Britain can't make a decent car. And then she sacks them.
Sacks them on the spot.
We don't see the reaction to that because it immediately cuts to the goods shed, and the two of them.
Yes.
Well, initially Barbara looks like she's crying, but in fact she's laughing.
Yeah, and Tom's really lovely about that. He's oh, come on, love, it's okay.
Yeah.
But then she says, I'm laughing.
They don't really care. They've already got a bunch of money together to make the car run for 10 months. And I think Barbara asks the valid question of how Margot would get on with Hugh Scanlon, who is another trade union leader. So it's quite a lot of political references in this one.
In this one, yeah, there is.
It might have been a good episode to talk about Margot as a foreshadowing of Thatcher, because there's a sort of pervasive theory that, in a way, the character of Margot Leadbetter helped Thatcher establish herself.
Do you think as people were watching it in the late 70s, leading up to the rise of Margaret Thatcher in 1979, do you think people would have watched it and seen Margot not as a figure of like ridicule? They would have seen her as someone that talked sense, someone that was honest, someone that they knew Margot's. We know Margot's. I'm a Margot. You know, do you think there were people that were
Possibly.
watching it that felt like that?
But I think that the crux of the difference between the two, the fictional character and the real Margaret Thatcher, is that Margot had this underlying humanity and empathy.
Yeah.
And if people mistakenly thought Thatcher did just because she spoke like Margot and had the same values as Margot, they were in for a bit of a shock.
A little bit.
But there are some interesting articles on that. We'll maybe talk about them before next week's episode proper.
Yeah.
So back to this episode, the goods are about to, I think, go and have a celebratory pump, aren't they? And then Jerry...
They are, by the sounds of it. Then Jerry pokes his head.
Yeah, they look gutted. But then Jerry says, I should be very sorry to see you go. I believe that is what one says to parting domestics. It's a great line.
Oh, heck. He's so upstairs, isn't he? He's so upstairs, downstairs.
He has no idea what's going on, but he's such a good egg, as we said before. He's come in to say sorry, even though he did nothing wrong.
Yeah. And then when they try and sort of settle up how much they owe for the week, Jerry's got like a figure in his head that's like twice the amount of what the goods are actually owed, and the goods find that quite remarkable. That for Jerry, it is just like, it's like Monopoly money. How much do you need? And just whips out a wad your notes.
Well, then Jerry asks them a very valid question, which is why they were prepared to do it in the first place. And that's a very good question. Why didn't Tom just freelance again? Or why didn't he go and make some fucking cups and plates? Like, he's got all these pottery skills.
Absolutely.
It seems to me that they, like, really what Jerry's doing is he's calling them out on compromising their principles for commercialism once again. And it's just a totally valid point, because one week they'll do these things and then they'll go, oh, no, we must be true to our ideals. And then the next week they're working for the man again, or the woman in this case. Yeah.
Tom does make a decent point, though, that it's only a problem when it's a permanent state. So it's going back to the Leadbetter's lifestyle and the job of what Jerry does, being a permanent state of going to work. That's what Tom has the problem with, but he doesn't have a problem with picking up bits and pieces as he goes along in order to get money for what he needs. But like we said before, if you're going to do that, then you're sometimes going to need to compromise on your principles and just get on with the job. Get on with the job and do it properly.
Well, if he just made like 10 bits of pottery a month, he wouldn't have to find himself in this bloody state.
Yeah.
He didn't have to go the full... Anyway, I've covered that.
Fall out with your neighbours. Anyway, yeah.
I think at this point, Tom unveils the makeshift car, doesn't he? Proudly, as is Tom's wont.
We're going to be the envy of Surbiton, he says.
And Jerry innocently asks about insurance. But of course, simple, naive Tom, he hasn't even thought about that. or tax.
No, it didn't cross my mind that you would need a tax disc for a rotary cultivator.
Or an MOT. How's he going to get that through an MOT?
How'd you get that MOT'd? Yeah, take it down to Quick Fit, have it put up on the ramps.
It was before the days of seatbelts, when seatbelts were mandatory, wasn't it? Because you struggled to get a seatbelt on that bloody garden bench.
You'd end up strangled before you'd even come off your drive.
Oh, to be honest, it's ludicrous, really. The thing, as we find out later, it does 7.5 miles an hour. I mean, it's not safe, is it?
With a park bench on the back.
It's a very daft, incredulous idea. And then, of course, we get a funny scene. We see Margot spraying polish all over her fruit and then binning her fruit.
Yeah.
But she does it like she doesn't really give a shit. It's not like, oh, damn it. She's just like, oh, well, fruit's expendable. I'll buy some more.
Yeah, Jerry can have them.
Madly, the goods arrive and to Margot's credit, she's been warm and affectionate towards her friends because now they're not the help, they're the friends. But crazily, they want their jobs back working for Margot, claiming to be reformed characters. And I just don't understand why they'd want to go back to it after.
No. But then cheekily, they asked for 3 weeks of the pay up front.
Yeah, which Margot gives to them again, being...
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's convinced reluctantly. I think possibly because she can see they have a need. And she resumes hovering over Barbara as she's working.
Yeah, moving the ornaments back.
And we have to assume from now on that it's kind of mainly harmonious because later that day you see Margot and Jerry invite Tom and Barbara to the pub.
Yeah. For a drink and a drive.
Yeah.
# different times.
Go out and see what you can find.
Yeah. Hate that song.
Do you?
Yeah, just because it just sounds like a crazy thing to do.
Yeah, but they changed the lyrics when they covered... Oh, some band covered it in the noughties.
Okay.
They dropped that line and changed it for something slightly different. I can't remember what it was.
Drinking a skive.
Yeah. That would work. That could be like the Ferris Bueller's... Day off.
Have a drink and a skive.
I love that song, I have to say. But Margot finally sees the ridiculous rotary cultivator benchmobile at this point.
Yes.
Which clearly it's been building up to because she's appalled, as you would expect.
Of course.
And she orders Jerry to drive off before they can even be associated with it.
And poor Tom shouting, come back, we can only do 7 miles an hour.
But do we think that Tom is now insured, or is he just driving it illegally?
I think he's just driving it illegally. Because if you were going to tax it and MOT it, that's a wad of cash, isn't it?
But then they...
Or was the 3 weeks' work...
so they could do that?
In order to do that.
Yeah. It seems like a false economy to me, but there we go. That's the sort of funny scene at the end, and there the episode ends.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry.
Do you think that there's more to Margot's frustration with Tom and Barbara than you actually see on screen?
In what sense?
Well, just is it just them being silly, or sometimes it's like my imagination gets carried away, shall we say? And I can imagine that maybe Tom has like left a massive log in the toilet when he's on his break or something like that. That one of those that won't flush away, and you think it's gone, but then
it just keeps popping
comes
back
crawling back up the U-bend like bloody Andy Dufresne through the sewers of Shawshank like a marine. Just winks at you every time you come in.
Oh no, HMS Unsinkable. I don't know. I feel more that she is cross with the fact that she called this at the beginning. She knew this was going to happen. She knew this wasn't going to be a smooth process, and she didn't want it to happen. She didn't want to blur the lines between friends and help. And I think she just feels a bit cross that it's happened as she expected. And a lot of the time she does sort of express things and you think, that's not going to happen. You are projecting things far too much in the future. That's not going to happen. But she called this one. And I think she is just sort of at a wit's end with it, perhaps.
Did I ever tell you about the time I went to the Chippy one time and I ordered my food and they put in an extra sausage that none of us wanted?
All right.
Have I told you this story before?
No.
And then none of us wanted it. I knew the kids wouldn't eat it, so the kids didn't know it was there. This is going back 6 or 7 years. And so I just threw it down the U-bend. I just threw it in the toilet. And then I stood in the corridor going, which one are you, little bastards? And then they both come out and they're like, well, it wasn't me. And I was like, well, look at the girth on it, Jack. It didn't come out of his ass, did it? And he's going, well, it wasn't me. And they're getting really defensive. And then I just like plunged my hand in and grabbed it and threw it at Jack.
Oh, my God.
He was not happy. He did not speak to me for some time after that one.
I bet if someone threw a toilet sausage at me, I would be very upset.
There we go. We've got a name for the episode now. Toilet sausage. Right. Well, okay. Let's move on to our MVP.
Yes, I have my MVP.
Judging by what we've already said in this one about how we admire how she handled it, I think we might be on the same page. Are we?
The Pearsons? No, not really. Definitely Margot this week for me.
Me too.
For having the foresight to make a decision and to be understandably upset about it when it all goes wrong.
Yeah, for everything we've already said, she was brilliant. But also, her histrionics were brilliant. They were so funny to watch with the plate smashing and the random soapbox moments.
Yes.
They were hysterical.
And leading on to Fashion Corner, she goes above and beyond this week.
Well, should we have a trip over there now?
Yes, let's do that.
Fashion Corner, Fashion Corner. Fashion Corner, Fashion Corner.
So there's lots to talk about this week. Very much Margot centric. Margot initially she has this orange collared jumpsuit on. I think a couple of times in the episode, with like a nautical headscarf that's got like ship's wheels, and it's in like red, white, and blue that she wears. That's her sort of her work uniform. This jumpsuit and the headscarf, which is beautiful. I think she later pairs that with a Union flag pinny.
Yeah.
Which is like uber UK.
Did you like that?
Look about
because I thought it was again, looking through 40 years later, it looked a little bit chavvy almost to me.
I think it was of a time. I think around that time, sort of around the 70s when we just joined the EU, I can imagine that she was still very much pro UK, and it suited her. It suited her.
Well, she always says she can wear anything and make it look good.
Absolutely. Later on, we see her in like a geometric white dress with peach and black shapes on it, which was beautiful. And then a powder blue collared dress, which has got these like enormous sleeves flapping about on it. But I need to make a special mention for the spotty ruffled pinny when she's having a dicky fit tossing the salad. She's got like a spotty pinny on. Which is it's quite comical. It's quite a comical piece of it's not a piece of clothing, I don't suppose, a pinny, but for as like the uniform that she has on, the Margot uniform, it's quite comical seeing her, that juxtaposition of the Margot character wearing a spotty ruffled pinny is quite comedic. And then we see her later on in the episode when she's squirting polish all over the apples, and she's got like a caftan and matching turban.
She proper burnt through the budget in this one, didn't she?
I don't know what you'd wear. I don't know when you'd wear that. I don't know what, because she's cleaning. But I'd see like a caftan and turban as kind of like afternoon G&T sitting on the sofa attire. But she's obviously trying to keep up with the jobs. Also, a quick mention to Barbara. She has this anorak, Barbara's anorak. It's like a royal blue padded wax jackety kind of.
Like a puffer, isn't it?
Like a puffer, yeah, it is a little bit.
Peter Beardsley's puffer jacket from Atletico Mints.
It's a bit of a barber coat, you know, not like a haircutting man. You know, like posh outdoorsy. It's called barber, isn't it?
Yeah, barber, yeah.
Yeah, kind of look to it like a wax jacket. So Barbara's blue clothes. I don't know. It must be one of her colours, blue, because she really suits anything that she wears that's blue. Having said that, with denim dungarees and a black jumper, and I say quite often that Barbara's look in this, I quite like. That's while I would wear a lot of Margot's clothes and go, yeah, that's amazing, I would put that on tomorrow. Barbara's like everyday clothing. I just think she looks dead smart and dead cute all the time.
She does.
And yeah, I think I would be selecting Barbara's clothes a lot of the time as well.
Going back to Margot's pinny.
Yes.
I like to think that Jerry probably has a titty apron somewhere that he wears when he has to do it.
Of course he does. Oh, he does.
He's bound to, isn't he?
Yes. Like a maid. Like a maid with tits out.
Yeah, definitely. And then Margot.
Oh, that's it.
Margot comes home and finds him on
the
it.
saucy little minx.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. It's all falling into place now, isn't it? That's what happens.
Good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life.
So, next week's episode is Series 3, Episode 4, I Talk to the Trees.
Ah, okay.
My only memory is of one of those outdoor scenes and a very old man telling them how he helps his plants grow by talking to them and naming them.
By talking to them.
I don't really remember much beyond that, but so I can't remember if it's a particularly good one or not, but we'll pull it apart next week, as we always do, and have a look at it.
Excellent. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. So if you're enjoying what we're doing and you want to join in, find us at SADDO Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. We're also on Facebook, and you can find us by searching for SADDO Podcast. Subscribe to our newsletter by visiting our website, saddo.club, where you can also get more information about us, read our blog posts, and listen to the episodes in your browser if you don't do podcast apps. Get in touch with us, we love that. Email us at saddopodcast@gmail.com. Tell us all the things that we've missed. Subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts from.
Yeah, and we also, it's worth mentioning that we do tweet out, and also on Instagram and Facebook, we do tweet out some rare video footage of the show and extraneous things that came out of the show, like the Good Life adverts, don't we? That had Tom and Barbara in.
Oh, yeah, the Polaroids.
And this week I tweeted out something with Margot presenting the end of the 70s programme. Did you see that?
I did see that.
So there's all sorts of extra content if you follow us on social, which is worth having a look at.
Yeah, get in touch.
Okay, so in the words of Tony Hart, see you next time.
Goodbye.
All silly.